Oil change time on a 2019 GP1800R. Got the big oil pump on this one for pulling out all the oil. This is the MityVac, and this one will hold up to, looks like 8 liters on this one. So I'm gonna get started on that, but before I do, I noticed that my bearing covers were leaking water, so they don't seem to fit in here very well. So you can see one of them's busted, and this trailer's not even 2 years old hardly. So what I'm gonna do is I have these bearing buddies, and you just put these bras over the top of the axle, and then that keeps water from getting in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and install these real quick, and then we'll get going on the oil change. Yeah, all you do, so I guess I'll just throw these back on here for now, because it'll actually cover these up. You just get less oil drippage, but then you just throw this bra on over the top, like that. Just burp any air out, it gets good vacuum, and there you go. And that covers it up and keeps it from leaking again on the trailer. It's a pretty common thing because, of course, these little rubber grommets just wear out over time, and of course with heat and everything, they're just not going to hold together that long. So I buy these vinyl covers from Bearing Buddy, and the model number that fits the caravan trailer that I have is like 1 7/8. What's called the 17B. Got the bearing buddies installed. Gonna go ahead and start change the oil on this thing. I'm gonna start by pulling the seats off. Need both hands to get the big one off, so pause it here. Got the hose all plugged in, ready to go. I'm gonna start by warming this thing up before I pull any oil out. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a start and then turn on the hose. And warmed up now. I'm gonna go ahead and start pulling the oil out with the MityVac. Got all the tubes connected. Just gonna feed it down the dipstick tube and start pumping the oil out. Just kind of go till it pretty much hits bottom, about right there, and then start giving it some pumps. Start seeing it pull oil here in a second. There it goes. You're gonna be about 10 pumps on vacuum, and then you just pretty much leave it till it's almost done. You just have to come back and give it a few more here and there as it pulls oil out. It's kind of a pretty quick process, I think. As long as the oil's warm, which it is, it pulls out pretty fast. Doesn't take very long. And generally I get about 4 quarts out of it, sometimes 4.5, but you always got to double check your level just in case. You know, you don't want to overfill this thing because it'll slow it down from what I've heard. Just starting to fill up. So when draining the oil, one of the secrets to get a little more oil out of this thing, now that thing's kind of full, I got about 4 liters out of it, is to hold the throttle wide open. And what that does is it keeps the motor from starting. And you can let the engine turn over a couple times and it gets some of the oil out of the oil cooler and all that stuff down there. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a few cranks and see how much more oil I can get out of it. Give it some more pumps. Here's a good one. Still getting some air in there. Shove it down in there a little further. See if we can get some more oil out of it. There it goes. See there? Still getting oil out of it. I usually do that about 3 to 4 times. Just hold it wide open, you know, here on the throttle side, and then hit the start button and let it crank about 5-6 times, and you'll get a little more oil out of there. So got about 4.5, maybe 4.75 liters out of there, which is almost 5 quarts. So it's a pretty good amount of oil that I get out of that motor. So I'll go ahead and start by pulling the oil filter off. Just right down here. And I use the K&N filter, and I always put some towels down here to catch all the oil so it doesn't get everywhere. It's a pain to kind of clean out of the hull, so try to be as neat as I can on that part. The filter number that fits this one is the HP-1002. These generally cost about 12 to 15 bucks on Amazon, just depends. And then the oil I like to use is RedLine. It's their 1040 motorcycle oil. I looked it up and it says that it's actually good for wave runners, pretty much everything that has a wet clutch. So I just go ahead and use this. Generally I just put in 4 quarts to start and then just slowly check the oil as I go, because I don't want to overfill it. But I'll probably get about 4.5 quarts in there, maybe 4.25 before I start to see it at the full line. All right, last quart. Dump that in, and then I'm actually on quart number 4. I'm just going to dump this in and start it up and see where I'm at on the oil level, and then just kind of go from there. Stick back in there. All right, getting pretty dark here, but ended up getting it just below the circle there. So I think once it gets hot, it'll probably be right at the right level. I'll probably add more maybe a little later, just once I check it out on the water, if we can get that to focus. There you go. Anyway, I'll go ahead and start it back up and give it one last rip, make sure it's good. trip on the Columbia River now after my oil change, just making sure everything looks good after it gets all nice and warmed up out here on the water. So it's just some footage of me riding around with one of my buddies.